Hey everybody, thanks for joining. Today's guest is Capra. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Great. My normal co-host couldn't make it today, unfortunately, but so we don't even have to introduce him. Let's though introduce you guys and just say what you do in the band, and then we'll get right into it.
All right. I'm Tyler. I play guitar.
I'm Crow. I do vocals. Hi.
I'm Ben. I do bass.
I'm Jeremy. I play drums.
Okay, cool. You guys just did a video for Medusa. I'm assuming that part of your Metal Blade contract was getting a video budget.
Somewhat. We got advances, and that covered most of our videos that we did. Locust Preacher. We did a what do you call it? Like a visualizer for Samurai Carry, and then we did the following music video for Medusa. So that all came out of advances and stuff like that.
Yeah, I always get scared when I see videos on Bandcamp that I'm going to press play and it's going to be like this cheesy ass lyric video, which I see a lot and just makes my soul hurt. Apologies to all bands who do lyric videos. But you guys definitely have some story going in your videos, and they're really well produced. So I guess let's just talk about some of the story aspect of it. I know Medusa's kind of interesting because you've got your doppelganger thing going on and the black masks, and I've heard some story about it, like the inner turmoil and stuff. But why don't you guys talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that was a weird one. We actually had an entirely different idea for the video. It was supposed to be like an 80s aerobics comedy type video, and then it turned into this wild doppelganger thriller horror movie pretty much. But for most of the videos we try to keep it on track with her lyrics. I'm not sure that Medusa did that, but I feel like it's somewhat close.
To be fair, it's like in line with well, it's kind of in line with like some of the other stuff on the album. So, I mean, it could be like loosely based on the Medusa lyrics. I mean, I guess I could have said that about literally anything, even if we did the 80s aerobics video. But I mean, it's in line with basically the theme of the album, and I think that's really what I wanted to portray there.
So your let's call them doppelgangers, had a like a latex mask where everybody else got to have hoods or something. Who, like, did you have to pick out your friends to play yourself and stuff in that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I was Jeremy's doppelganger, and Jeremy was my doppelganger. Ben got his brother.
Yeah, I got my brother, like the same body type and everything. So he was
Right.
stoked to do it.
Yeah, I just got one of my cosplay friends to do it with me.
Cosplay friends.
Yeah. We look nothing alike, which is funny, but we were wearing the mask, so it really doesn't matter.
Okay. Now I have to ask though, what kind of cosplay are you doing, and where are you doing it, and what are you into?
Most of the time it's from video games, just because that's what most of my exposure is to, like animated characters, I guess. So I actually have a convention that I'm going to this weekend, and I am cosplaying a character from the game Yakuza, which I'm really excited about. And it's kind of a last minute thing, so I'm pulling it together like super, super rush. So I hope it comes out halfway decent.
Cool. But you don't do any weird stuff for being on stage, right? That, like, most of the press photos I've seen of you guys you're just in casual clothes.
Yeah, I used to do a lot more kind of like campy, costumey type stuff with my last band. But I'm just worried with this band, just because the messages that I'm trying to kind of like send across, I guess, with my lyrics, I feel like I don't want them to be overshadowed by like some like ridiculous kind of like theatrical persona. I more just want people to hear what I have to say. But that's not to say that I'll never do it. I might find a way to do it that makes me comfortable, but I'm just not sure exactly where I am in that regard right now.
Okay, cool. one of the things I was kind of really interested in talking to you about was music genres. It comes off a lot with the bands because I think I have a sort of a wider interpretation of like what metal is. Obviously, you guys have a hardcore influence, but you know, to me, like even the opening riffs are like a lot of your tunes are like straight up black metal. So it's weird for me to consider you guys a hardcore band or like really any genre in particular.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with you completely. I don't think we fit into one particular genre. People call it metallic hardcore. I've heard that float around. It was the first I had ever heard of it. But I mean, we take from all different sorts of genres and kind of throw it all into one. So I'm not sure where we lie on that spectrum.
But do you find that like with the media context that you're getting an equal part hardcore and metal, or are you getting? Do you find that your fan base is coming from one place or the other?
I think we're mostly catered to the hardcore fan base.
Okay, that's interesting because I feel like Crow, your vocals are maybe a little bit more on the punk side, which is why I sort of get maybe why you get shunned by metal archives or whoever doesn't want to consider you metal. But like a lot of the riffing, I just feel like is firmly in the metal, you know. But then, you know, then again, I think a lot of hardcore is really just metal anyway. So with different.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And there's definitely a lot of metal aspects to the band. I mean, we do incorporate black metal, especially on like Hollow Doll, like the opening track. And then we do a lot of thrash metal, especially on the newer stuff. Like we kind of threw in a little bit of taste here and there on the first album. And then on the newer stuff, we have a lot of thrash. You'll just find the hardcore elements stuffed in there somewhere in the breakdowns, or you'll find the punk aspect in, I think mainly the bass. Like the bass, I think brings the punk aspect to our band.
Yeah. Cool. Let's talk about how you formed. I think you guys were. I heard one of the other interviews said you were in a lot of different bands. The only one that I was able to really go out and find was the Severer, and that was really sludgy type stuff.
Yeah, that was Jeremy and I's band right before this one. It was very sludgy, doom, slow down, evil. And
then talk about how you guys ended up switching instruments, because I thought that was kind of strange.
So when I was playing bass in Severer and Jeremy was playing guitar and doing vocals, and then after I got out of rehab, we came back and we kind of just stuck with that formula to start Capra. And we had a different drummer named Devin, and I want to say that lasted about a year, maybe a little bit less than that, but he quit the night before a show, and we really wanted to play the show. I knew all the guitar parts. Jeremy's a drummer. So we just switched that night and played the show, and people loved it. So we kept it going.
So that's got to be
like locally. I was just going to say locally, like everyone knows Jeremy mostly as a drummer for a lot of the other projects, and similarly with Tyler. Tyler's played guitar in other local projects. So locally, it was almost kind of like they went back to their original instruments instead of what they were doing.
Right.
But that's got to be like kind of a screw with your mind to be practicing for a show for one instrument and then ending up doing something completely different. I mean, you know the songs that part's down, you know where the transitions are, that part's down too, but just everything else is like.
Yeah, it was weird. It was very weird. But it definitely steered the direction of the band very swiftly, because Capra, starting out at the beginning, a lot of guitar parts that I was writing was more in the vein of like a Glassjaw style of like more of melodic hardcore with like just kind of little raw on the edges, almost garagey. And as soon as I went back to drums and he moved to the guitar, immediately it got way more technically proficient, because like I'm a better drummer, he's a better guitar player. So it made more sense. And we've been playing for so long that we immediately knew how we would approach the songs on those different instruments. So that's why it only took like 2 practices, I think. We practiced like a long practice and a short practice, and we played like 4 shows that week.
Right.
It was wild, but
it didn't take as long as it should have, I think. I think we were just kind of forced. We were kind of forced into that situation, so it was do or die.
Cool. I've seen a bunch of your other interviews. I'll post the links in the description to, you know, so I'm not ripping anybody off and just giving everybody their due props. But I want to just pick up on a couple things that I've heard you mention with your influences. I think some of it like really made sense to me when you were talking about Oathbreaker and Gouge Away, who I wasn't really familiar with, but when I heard it, I was like, okay, this makes sense that is what you guys are sort of pulling in.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are 2 of my favorite bands. And I think that's what really steered us in the direction, you know, when we lost our last vocalist, knowing that we wanted a female to front the band was because I had really been into bands like Oathbreaker and Gouge Away and Walls of Jericho. And that's just the way that I think the band was intended to go. And so it turns out I was right.
So were there any songs, like how many songs did you have at that point? Because I also heard that you guys had been working on that first album for 4 years. So I imagine that you know, at least a couple of those songs must have made the album, the ones that were written prior to Crow you coming on.
I'm not too sure how many we had.
3.
Yeah.
I know we had like we had
there.
Medusa, we had Samurai Carry, Red Guillotine.
And that was it.
I think that's the only songs that made it to the album.
Red Guillotine was the first song that we wrote when I came on, because I came on a little before Crow. And then we had started working on Lotus Preacher and Crow came in. But all the lyrics from Medusa and Samurai are totally new. Our previous vocalist had different lyrics for it, and we just got rid of them and let Crow do whatever she wanted.
Yeah, I mean, right. That would be super awkward to, you know, have a lyricist and be like, yeah, you're singing some other dude shit who's not even in the band. And
I mean, it happens.
Yeah. At that point, nobody knew those words anyway. So.
Exactly, yeah. It was a good way to get rid of it.
If you don't mind me asking, what kind of style was the vocals that you used to have before Crow?
I think it was super metalcore.
Okay.
Like it was he took it in more of like a Norma Jean Chariot type direction. It absolutely made us way more metal than we intended to be. But it wouldn't have worked, regardless of what happened and the way that it ended. Like it wouldn't have worked.
Cool. And then I guess Crow, let's talk about what you were doing when you got the call to come audition, or however that worked out.
I think Tyler made like a Facebook post or something and somebody tagged me in it or whatever. I don't know. It was something like that, like friend of a friend. I don't even know. I mean, I had met Tyler and maybe Jeremy like once before. And I'd never really done vocals. Like I'd done backing vocals and like kind of experimental vocals with the previous group, but it wasn't like my thing. So I was kind of like skeptical about it. But Tyler was like super cool, was like, you know, reassured me that they would be like willing to work with me and help me figure it out. So, and they did, thankfully. I love these dudes. They're like some of my closest friends, obviously. And somehow it ended up working out fine.
So your friend knew you had an interest, even though that's not what you were doing in the previous
I think I didn't even know. I think I didn't even know I had an interest until I was like, the opportunity was available and it became a lot more real. And I was like, okay, yeah, why not? Why not? Worst thing I'll do is like embarrass myself. But, you know.
I love that she came in for the first tryout, and we all knew immediately that it was a perfect fit. But we made her try out, I think, 3 or 4 times. Just to see if she would keep showing up or keep writing lyrics or keep, you know, the determination. We wanted to see if the determination was there.
Didn't we record this practice? Because I would love to hear that.
Somewhere, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
would
we
like to
did.
hear.
That's
Might be in
lost.
the Dropbox,
Oh, man.
maybe.
So you guys are going to start touring soon. I saw a show flyer that you're playing with I Hate God.
Yeah. We've done shows with them before, and it's always a fun time. This will be our first show with Goat Horror, who's also on the bill. So we have a few local shows. We have the Baton Rouge show, we have the I Hate God show, and then a show with our friends in the Callis Cowboys. And then we go on tour.
Cool. And I did see some of the tour dates. I keep saying we, like Eric is here. He's the guy who usually has the show with me. He's from Brooklyn. One of our home places is St. Vitus. So it's cool that you guys are going to be up there. Do you know who's headlining that show?
I think we are.
Okay. Good. Well,
I
who's the supporting act then?
I'm not sure yet. They haven't released. I know a few of the shows because I've seen flyers. I know the bands that we mentioned from New York that we wanted to play with. Hopefully they can get on the bill, but it's all up in the air.
Who was that?
We mentioned Johnny Booth. We mentioned Boar and Wreath of Tongues.
Okay, I'll have to check those guys out. Yeah, I do see on your Facebook page that you're constantly, shouting out to bands and putting lists together. So I think that's super cool. At least for our channel, we're always like putting links in the description for anybody we talk about, because I just feel like it's good to cross-pollinate everybody.
Absolutely.
One of my notes here is to hear about the bee story, because Crow, I think you have some story about bees.
Yes.
That was maybe hinted about, but then it never got paid off in the interview that I saw. So
I don't think she's ever talked about this on an interview. This is wonderful.
I wasn't paid to do that, by the way. That's
No, that's fine. This is something I actually enjoy talking about.
I'm so excited.
It's like one of those weird, I don't even know how I remembered this or whatever, but when I was in preschool, I somehow discovered that you can like step on a bee without killing it and hold it and it won't sting you. So I would go around just stepping on bees and holding them and they'd be like, alive. But this is really horrible in hindsight.
I was going to say this
alive, but they wouldn't sting me. So somehow I ended up like recruiting a bunch of the other preschoolers to like start doing that too. And like by the end of the day, I would count everybody's bees, and whoever had the most bees like won, like respect for the day or whatever. And it must have happened for like just like 2 or 3 days until one of my friends gave me a bee that ended up stinging me, and like just never again. After that, it was just over. We're like, okay, the fun is ruined.
Yeah, I feel like I never had gotten stung by a bee. I wasn't sure. And then when I finally got stung by a bee, I was like, oh, yeah, that had never happened before.
Yeah, you know when you get stung.
You know when you get stung.
It for sure sucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and for me, it's just walking around in my backyard and, with sandals and right between the toes. That's where.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oof. Mine was on only been stung by a bee once, but it was on my tongue. It's because a bee went in. I had a can of Coke just chilling, and I didn't see it go inside the Coke. Took a sip.
Oh no!
Dude, that's holding out on the bee story.
Radical.
Yeah, that's a crazy bee story too. Got some notes here about you guys signing to Metal Blade. I feel like anybody who listens to metal is usually in a band, so is probably pretty interested in how you go from like a 2-song demo to getting signed to Metal Blade. That's a pretty, good jump right there, right? So I guess talk maybe a little bit about your manager and how that all got hooked up.
So yeah, we were working with a guy named Matt Bacon, and I think we worked with him for about a year. Metal Blade, he had pitched it to Chris Santos, celebrity chef from Chopped, and he got that over to Brian Slagle, And then they emailed us one day. This was before the EP had come out. We already had the album pretty much finished. So we had sent them all of our demos and the first mix of the album. And they were really interested, but we didn't have any music out there with Crow. So I think it was May of 2020. We decided to release 2 tracks that were the original mix done by Jai Benoit and put those out just so people would have an idea of who we were. And then everything kind of shut down in, I want to say March of last year. I don't remember when we were emailing back and forth, but they emailed us saying like they were shutting down until July and that they would be back in touch with us. And we thought we had lost the deal. We thought COVID killed it, but they ended up getting back in touch with us in July and we signed the deal. I think it took us about 3 months, but we knew we were going to sign it.
Cool. And I assume that even though the 2-song demo, that was not put out on Metal Blade. That was just a DIY thing, correct?
Yeah, this was before we signed. We put out the 2-track EP.
Okay.
Yeah, we had actually written we had the album minus 3 tracks. We recorded it before we were signed with Metal Blade. And we basically just had no music with Crow out. So we actually talked to Metal Blade kind of about letting us release it earlier, even though we were talking about releasing it with them in the future. They were really cool about it. Like, we had already recorded a music video. We came to Metal Blade with basically an album written, first music video done. We just kind of tried to have a package to like pitch to them in hopes that they go for it, and they did. They've been awesome.
Was it the same person who did all your music videos?
For the first one was done by Jai Benoit, who actually recorded, mixed, and mastered the demos. And then our next 2 videos were done by Matt Valentine and Chase Guidros and Tom Rosario. So they kind of stepped it up and made it more, I don't know, they're like movies to me.
So you guys were playing out obviously a bunch before that 2-song EP came out. Is it a little bit harder to get real good shows when you don't have a demo, or did you use like maybe contacts from your previous bands and stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we used all of our contacts, and we've all been playing music for so long that we've played everywhere, so we know venue owners. And for bigger shows, which we've played a few before we were signed, we would just get in touch with venues or we would get in touch with locals and kind of try to hop on those shows.
What are some of the bigger bands that you were able to open up for?
So before we were signed, we actually played a show with I Hate God. We've done shows with Whores, Big Jesus, Number 12 Looks Like You, Crypto Dira.
Today is the day.
Today is the day. So we've had a few under our belt before getting signed.
Cool. What venues do you like playing with at? Like, are there any ones? I don't want, don't talk about what you don't like to do necessarily, because that's a little bit too much shit talking. But what venues, like, are you just dying to play? Do you love playing, or do you wish you could play?
House parties for me. I love playing house shows. I love kicking people in someone's living room. But my big venue was St. Vitus, and luckily we're going to be playing there in October.
So that's going to be your first time coming up the East Coast?
Yes.
And I think I saw something on Facebook where you were trying to book New Zealand or Australia or something like that. Am I making that up?
No.
Just reached out to us. Tyler kind of more of the details. But
it was set up through Matt Bacon. He reached out to one of his buddies named Anthony, and Anthony books shows out there. Metal Blade had recently signed Nicolas Cage Fighter. So Anthony had signed them to their booking agency and wanted to do a tour with them and us in Australia and New Zealand. So he reached out and said, "Hey, we can make this happen," and we agreed. Why not? You know, I'd love to go out there.
You mentioned again. I hate to keep harping on other stuff I've read in different places, but I think your practice place sounded pretty interesting because you practice in a container, a metal container, like a
Do
cargo
people not
container.
practice in sheds anywhere else besides Louisiana?
I don't.
Right.
Yeah, I've never heard of people practicing in a container shed, but
It's an RV shed. So
Oh,
like
is
it's
that what it is? Like boat
40
storage?
feet long. It's a boat and RV storage place. So we just got this long shed. We're just kind of turning into this radical little practice space.
Yeah, it blows my mind that this isn't done everywhere.
I know.
Because we've
It's
been
like
doing
common
it for
practice
years
here.
and years. It's kind of like just a normal thing to do out here.
Mhm.
so maybe I'm not quite getting it. So I was thinking more of a container, like a shipping container, but you're saying it's an RV container.
No, it's just like
Yeah,
a shed
like-
building.
It's at a big storage lot, and I think that's what it's used for. Boats. It's actually a boat storage place. So most people, well, I don't know if it's a lot of bands are out there with us, but
It's
most
like-
people use it to store their stuff and their boats
Yeah,
and their
storage board.
RVs.
Same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you watch Storage Wars, one of these days they're gonna open ours, and it's gonna
No,
be
they're
a
not.
bunch of cool
No,
camp.
let's hope not.
Hell no.
What should I be bidding on your container if I was in Storage Wars?
Not
Like if I bid $2,000 on it, would I get ripped off or would I make my money back?
$2,000
You
you'd
would
be good.
absolutely-
You'd be good at
Get
$2,000.
ripped off.
You would absolutely make your money back.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting different answers. Okay, maybe that's the tipping point. $2,000. I don't know.
Wait,
Um,
you disagreed? Who said that you would be getting ripped off?
Depends on the day, I guess. Depends on who the gear is there.
Whose gear?
Yeah.
Well, my gear is there right now, and that's worth $2,000 at least. So you're good.
Any other bands that practice there that you guys are buddies with that we should mention or shout out to?
Not really. I don't think so. We don't know. I mean, we know some of the bands out there, but we just go out there and we do our thing.
So they got guitars, so you know they're in a band, but you don't really know who they are. You're just like,
We try not to socialize. We just write music.
I think we have different schedules. Like we don't practice at the same time as everybody.
Right.
are you guys?
Sometimes we'll hear them. Sometimes we'll hear them out there, and it's always crazy. There's one band, I don't know who it is, but they mic everything inside of their storage unit, and it just sounds like it's like arena sound. It's insane. I don't know how they hear at all.
That doesn't actually sound pleasant to me, though.
No.
I always remember, like, when I was, a teenager, and sometimes I would forget my earplugs at a concert, which I will never do again. And like I would be like in the bathroom trying to like wad up toilet paper to like stick it in my ears so my ears weren't ringing for like a month,
Wow.
So and that wasn't fun. But
No.
I can't. I don't know.
I think we've all kind of actually hit that spot recently. Like we're all, besides Crow.
No, I do.
We're all in our
never
30s, and we're all like, we could turn down a little bit. We could put in earplugs. So we're all kind of with you, I think. We're all kind of at that. I think I used to just want to crank it to 11 all the time, and now it's like, well, maybe we could try and hear what
He
we're
still
playing.
does.
I keep it at like 4, my guy. It can go much louder.
Cool. I don't know. I'm sort of at the end of my notes, and we're running about 45 minutes. So it's a good time. Do you guys have any? What's next for the band? I'm just trying to think of how we want to wrap this up, and what we still got left to talk about.
Well, we just did our second live stream, so we don't really have any more of those coming anytime soon. We have a few shows. We have a tour coming up. It would be great to meet everyone on tour. If we come to a city near you, if we're not coming to a city near you, then we will at some point, maybe next year.
Yeah, I definitely check the list of tour dates and stuff, because we are actually covering a lot of ground, and there's going to be a lot of people that I've kind of been talking to over Instagram that we're getting excited to meet each other and stuff. So I'm real excited for the route we're taking. But like Tyler said, yeah, definitely. If we don't catch you like this go round, we're definitely going to catch you soon, like within the next year or so.
Right. We're not going to play the same place again. We're not going to go back to the same place. We're going to go to the West Coast. I know people in Phoenix and Colorado, California, they're all asking for us to come out there. So we'll definitely be there.
You don't socialize for the Storage Wars, but you will socialize at the shows and stuff.
Absolutely. 100%.
Correct.
We're very social people. We're very social people, but when we go out to our storage unit and our rehearsal space, that's kind of what it's all about. It's about us and writing music and playing the set.
Cool. Fair enough. Cool. I guess let's wrap it up then, if we're good.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. This was a blast.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. No, thank you. And so are you going to be sorry, one more. Are you going to be debuting any new material on the road, or do you guys even think that far ahead?
I think we already
absolutely.
I think we've got a few songs we're planning on playing on tour.
So
we all got really excited and talked at one time.
Yeah, I know. I heard that. I was trying to figure out where it was going.
What that means is, yes, we have new material.
Yeah, we've actually been writing a lot, and we have a lot of new material. We're definitely going to be pulling some of the new ones out, trying it out in different cities.
Cool. Okay. I think we're good then. I really appreciate you guys coming on and talking with me. I wish Eric was here, but I guess he had to work. Some of us have to pay the bills. We will see you in October. Yeah, we'll see both of you. Cool. Thanks again. Yeah, thank you.
Bye, everybody.